Joining us now is Okpe with stories trending around the world. Hello, Ojinika.
That was an excellent introduction. I am so proud of you. So proud. Good morning. How are you?
Ojinika. So what is this color called?
It's, help me out here.
Tundu is the one who
She's the color expert.
Well, I'll call it like a dusky pink. It's not pastel.
See, I told you I would have just said pink. Bright pink.
No, darling, we have to have the shade.
Good morning, Tundu. How are you?
I'm great, thank you.
Great,
How
great.
are you?
I'm doing well, thank you. Good morning, Rufai.
Oji, I will call Dr. Basi Dr. Color. This morning, some people were calling you Dr. Color. Now you're asking of colleague, I will call you Dr. Color. I will now call Tundu Professor Color. Because there's no color Tundu doesn't know.
She does. I had to ask her.
Me and you, Oji, we're apprenticed in coloration.
You know you're always correct. You're so smart, Rufai, always. Well, all right. Good morning to you, viewers. Here are some of the stories that are trending across the globe. In Switzerland, U.S. President Joe Biden and Russian President Vladimir Putin are set to hold their historic meeting today in the iconic 18th century villa Parc de la Grange in Geneva. In the United States, member of the House of Representatives, Marjorie Taylor Greene, has introduced the Fire Fauci Act that will bring infectious diseases expert Dr. Anthony Fauci's salary down to $0. The act will also require the Senate to confirm someone else to fill his position.
I'm very proud to sponsor the Fire Fauci Act, and I'm grateful to my colleagues here for co-sponsoring this bill because the American people deserve answers.
In the United Kingdom, a new poll conducted by the youth health charity STEM4 has named the Duchess of Sussex, Meghan Markle, as the most popular royal, ahead of the Duchess of Cambridge, Kate Middleton. And the original source code for the World Wide Web, written by its inventor, Tim Berners-Lee, is up for sale at Sotheby's as part of a non-fungible token with bids starting at just $1,000. In the Philippines, a web developer, Mac Pascual, in honor of his profession, named his newborn baby Hypertext Markup Language, which is widely known as HTML. In Saudi Arabia, human rights group decried the execution of 26-year-old Mustafa Al-Darwish, who was sentenced to death after an offensive photograph was found on his phone following anti-government protests in which he participated in at the age of 17. Under sports, Juventus striker Cristiano Ronaldo makes history breaking the Euro goal scoring record to become the all-time leading scorer as Portugal beat Hungary in Budapest. On Tuesday, Ronaldo also became the first player to appear at 5 men's European championships. Finally, under entertainment, in Russia, Miss Uday Chiamaka, Nigeria's representative at the Miss Africa Russia competition, held up a blood-stained flag during the pageant, paying tribute to victims of the October 2020 End SARS protests. And model Chrissy Teigen breaks a month-long social media silence to apologize for bullying several people on Twitter. Well, Tundu, I wanted to discuss this topic, Chrissy Teigen's apology on Twitter. I think she set a good example.
Yes,
I believe she's really soul-searching. She's gone through therapy. But, it goes to show that cyberbullying is such a big deal. And it is so important to stop when you know that you can.
It is very important. And I think that her apology should be accepted, although a lot of people are rejecting it, that she's only apologizing, trying to do some kind of damage limitation with her reputation and her endorsements. But I think people do all kinds of diabolical things and they never apologize. So anybody that does apologize, I think should be heard out. And she penned this lengthy apology, so profuse. And it wasn't one of those apologies that has a caveat. She completely took responsibility for her disgusting behavior. She made no attempt to minimize or justify the arrant nonsense she was doing on social media. And it just goes to show that trolls, as she rightly described herself,
Yes, she did.
they actually cause their victims real emotional and mental torment.
People kill themselves.
Yes, because of trolls. So it's extremely important what she's done and that she has repented from her ways. She should go and sin no more.
Very well
I
said,
feel.
Tundu. All right, well, let's begin what's trending with reactions to the Minister of Information and Culture, Lai Mohammed's claim that Jack Dorsey, CEO of Twitter, and his microblogging platform are liable for the losses the country suffered during the NSAS protests. The minister accused Jack Dorsey of raising funds through bitcoins to sponsor the protest, and after debunking claims that Twitter wasn't banned from the country for deleting President Muhammadu Buhari's tweet in which he referenced the Nigerian civil war, also claimed that Twitter was the platform of choice for a particular separatist promoter who uses the platform to instigate violence against public property and members of the police force. Well, let's take some reactions. Well, this is a comment from Pastor David, who wrote, "Was it Twitter's Dorsey that opened fire on the youth during their peaceful protest, which was caused by the uprising against poor governance of Nigeria? The whole world can see how this government continues to wreak havoc throughout Nigeria and waste lives of Nigerian citizens every day." Rufai, your comment on the story.
I'll go straight to it. 2 points, or 2 to 3 points. Number one will be, please, open Twitter back up. That's just it. Open Twitter back on. Because it's obvious we keep seeing people shopping for reasons to ban Twitter. We keep seeing people trying to say, oh, this is not the reason we are banning Twitter. The reason Twitter was banned was because they took down the post of the president. If they had not taken that post down, Twitter will not be banned today. That I know. So anybody that says otherwise, I don't know about that. The reason is because the president's tweet was taken down. And we've gone further to shop for reasons to justify this act. Then we've shopped back up to NSAS now. At first, we said, oh, they must pay taxes in this country. And we brought out the report that Twitter don't even really make as much money as you think. So how are they supposed to pay a lot of the taxes? We've talked about taxes. Now we've been able to hold one accountable by saying, you know what? They cost NSAS. Twitter did this for NSAS. The minister should prove it. I doubt if he's going to be able to prove it, but he should prove it. He should prove it that the miscreants that hijacked a peaceful protest by Nigerians, a peaceful protest that started attacking them, the miscreants that people saw coming down from executive cars, the miscreants that a lot of people tagged to politicians, the people should prove it, that those miscreants, because you see, when some people talk, we laugh. We all know that some of those area boys that started the Wahala, they even know their names. People identified them, and they told other people, the certain politicians they work for. So they should bring that out, and they should tie that to Jack Dorsey paying those people. We all know how there were videos that surfaced online after these miscreants went to attack protesters, and they were sharing the funds and the words they said. We all saw these things, just like we saw recently how some people were paid 1,000 naira to protest. We saw these things. But the minister should go ahead and prove it. The blame for Jack in all of this is this: neutrality. People will always harp on the fact that he could have just stayed neutral. And that's what they would allege everywhere. And that's always the bone of contention. He could have just stayed neutral in all of this, since he's the one running the site. And there are people pro and against the protest on his site. That was just the part that I feel he could learn. And he could have learned it better if he sought advice. You will see that Facebook does a better job because Mark Zuckerberg has employed somebody called Sheryl Sandberg to be COO of Facebook, Chief Operating Officer. And she has real experience. So tech guys are activists. You know, they want to air their views on issues, but they forget that you need to draw the line between running a company and becoming an activist and your personal views. So he should have employed somebody to walk him through that line. You would also see to a large extent, that's why when Google started, Google know they couldn't have just left it in the hands of, Larry Page and Sergey Brin. So they employed a guy called Eric Schmidt to be chairman of Google. Because you see, intergovernmental relations, you actually need somebody that has multinational experience to be able to walk you through that role. That Jack Dorsey could have done correctly. But the minister should go ahead and prove it now. What he has said, that it was because of Twitter. Twitter paid the people that went ahead and demolished and burned 200 buses in Lagos. Because we all know when the violence started. The first week after the protest, there was no violence. It was peaceful. It was when the miscreants and the area boys got in. And how did the area boys get in? Who funded the area boys? Who fueled them?
Now, Dr. Bati, I mean, can we say that Jack Dorsey should be held liable in some ways? If you recall, I believe it was even last week, he said Nigeria would rule Bitcoin at one point. I think that he's, doing so much. He's tweeted the Nigerian flag just only, 3 days ago, and also on Democracy Day. And people are saying that he's so desperate at this point. What is your take on that?
Well, the Minister of Information, incidentally, is a lawyer. So when he uses the word vicarious liability, he's using a legal term. Liability is under the law of tort. Vicarious liability is when you can be held responsible for a tort, an omission under tort that has been committed by another. So that's different from strict liability. That's different from what is also called absolute liability.
Okay.
Now, you see that the Minister of Information tried to prove that vicarious liability by citing instances of actions committed by Jack Dorsey, how he was mobilizing funding for NSAS protests, how he tried to provide Bitcoin support for NSAS protesters, how he also provided his platform for the promotion of actions which, in the opinion of the Minister of Information, were capable of undermining the corporate existence of Nigeria. And its overall objective is to prove that this, suspension of Twitter in Nigeria is not just because of the tweet by the president of Nigeria, but that, this has been something that has been long in coming. Now, I said earlier when this subject came up that in October 2020, one Adamu Garuba actually went to court to sue Twitter, $1 billion, accusing Jack Dorsey particularly of the same liability. But of course, when the case came up and one Okpe Akinyode decided to represent Jack Dorsey in court, the complainant didn't show up, his lawyer also did not show up, and in January this year, Adamu Garuba withdrew the case. Now, to the extent that vicarious liability is a legal obligation, then the Minister of Information, what does he intend to do? I mean, a man does not become liable because another says so. You have to go to a court of law to go and talk about it, to go and prove it. So is the Nigerian government going to take Jack Dorsey to court? And again, under what jurisdiction? Considering that this is a man who does his business within a worldwide web space. So these are some of the issues that will come up. But I think that what is more instructive is that Jack Dorsey himself has been trying to, succumb to the pressure coming from Nigeria. Now, two major markets. Twitter has been trying to expand. And two major markets that are of use to that expansion and growth of Twitter. Twitter is having problems there. It's having problems in India, where it has 700 million followers. And in India, the Indian government has been encouraging Ku, an alternate microblogging platform, which already has about 6 million in India. Ku is situated in Bengaluru in India. This same Ku has suddenly showed up in Nigeria as an alternative to Twitter here. So this has put Jack Dorsey and his microblogging platform under pressure. But Alhaji Lai Mohammed says Twitter has written formally to Nigeria to engage Nigeria in conversations. But my fear is that I hope that this will not end up as an absolute attempt to censor free speech in Nigeria. Because in the statement made by the Minister of Information, he was saying that the only way Twitter will not have any issues in Nigeria is if it is going to allow on its platform only content that is approved by the Nigerian government. And that way, Nigeria is trying to toe the line of India, which introduced digital rules, which have also become a major issue for Twitter. The short end of the stick, the long end of the stick, is about protecting not just national laws, not just sovereignty, but ensuring that individual rights to free speech are not infringed upon. Because the Twitter platform, as well as Google, as well as Facebook, these are, platforms that have expanded the frontiers of human expression. These are platforms that have become very democratic. So the major challenge is in striking the balance,
yes,
both for Twitter and also for governments that are uncomfortable with this digital platform.
I wanted to take you on that comment where you said that Jack Dorsey needed Nigeria and India. I mean, people are even saying that why did he go open his headquarters in Ghana if he knew that he needed Nigeria that much?
Well, he's been vindicated
yes,
now, hasn't he? Because the Nigerian government can't reach him. He's tucked away in Ghana. But as I was saying this morning, there is logic in penalizing those who are guilty of inciting violence. Everybody must be responsible as an individual in the way you use social media. Whether you're a social media user or social media owner, you cannot just tweet what you like. But that, for me, is where it ends. What is Jack Dorsey really accused of doing? How is he responsible for the looting? He was tweeting about fundraising. What was the money raised? Quite a considerable amount of money. It was raised and used in very specific ways, which were made public.
Yes.
Medical bills, food, petrol, support for victims, and what have you. None of those monies that were raised were spent on, hooliganism, vandalism, none of that. And he was also accused of retweeting. He was retweeting support for the protest. The protest itself is not the issue.
Right.
We will recall that it was politicians who sponsored hoodlums to come in and change the tone of the protest.
Very correct.
From there, things escalated. There was a curfew, at which point those doing the fundraising, those who were leading the protest, were all tweeting, everybody stay at home. So at that point, NSAS was over. Their hands had been washed clean of NSAS. So what escalated the issue really was that shooting on October 20th. What does that have to do with the NSAS protesters and Jack Dorsey tweeting?
Absolutely
that was
nothing.
state action, was it not?
Absolutely.
And then it now escalated even further. As a response to that, some people ran amok all over the place, vandalizing, murdering, burning. So what on earth does that have to do with Jack Dorsey?
Absolutely.
But what he must learn is the lesson. He must be open to the lesson that he had to learn in 2013 when he was actually trying to be quite stubborn about the rights of ISIS to use Twitter in their recruitment and propagation of information. After a while, even he knew he had to start shutting down those accounts. So what he must learn in this, not to throw the baby out with the bathwater and just say, well, I didn't do anything, shrug and move on. He must also be careful in what he does use his platform to do so that he's not roped in and made a scapegoat in an issue that really has nothing to do with him.
You make a very valid point, Tundu. We'll take another story. Vice-President Yemi Osinbajo on Tuesday test drove the first locally assembled electric car in Nigeria, a Hyundai Kona. The vehicle, which was first launched in November 2020 by the Lagos State Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu, was commended after the test drive by the Vice President during an exhibition tour of Made in Nigeria products and the opening ceremony of the 5-day Nigeria at 60 Expo event held at the Eagle Square in Abuja. Rufai, how amazing is this? I am so excited. When I saw the story, I was like, yeah, finally, we're doing something now.
I'm excited. It's good we're assembling cars here again, but I would have favored that it was made by a Nigerian manufacturer. We have Innoson here.
Yes.
Is this how we go to celebrate Innoson? Innoson too has some good cars. I would have favored that we go, our government officials go, they take a test drive of Innoson cars and they put it out there and they show it to the world because that's the only car manufacturer we have today. I mean, if there are other car manufacturers, Nigerians, they should go take their car drive. Because you see, plus or minus, look at it. This company, when you look at it, is set up by probably Koreans or Indians. The money still finds a way back out of the Nigerian economy back to other countries. So when are we going to start developing our own indigenous car owner? There's another young Nigerian guy called Nord that make cars, that assemble cars too, brings in the parts from overseas, assembles them there. Those are the kind of things I want to see. Good news anyway, but the truth is I will be very happy when it's the first indigenous electric car made by a Nigerian indigenous manufacturer like Innoson or the likes. That's when I will be happy.
Very well said, Rufai. I mean, I think that you make a very valid point. Dr. Abati, your take on this story.
Well, very quickly, Nigeria has a national automotive policy.
Yes.
Under that national automotive policy, part of the objective is to move along with the rest of the world. We have a man called, I think, Jalila Aliyu, who is in charge of that national automotive transformation plan. And as it is elsewhere in the world, the future is about electric car, about the electrification of mobility. At the moment, there are about 7.2 million electric cars in the world, with China alone accounting for about 47% of it. In the United Kingdom has introduced a policy in line with this global move to check fossil fuels and ensure green energy, has put in place a policy to take effect in 2030 to kick out, vehicles that are powered by petrol and diesel. So if Nigeria now is announcing the emergence of an electric car assembled in Nigeria, we don't know what type it is. Maybe it's a full electrification one or a hybrid of it. We've not been given the necessary details. I think it's also a way of Nigeria thinking ahead and trying to move ahead with our national automotive policy. We saw the Vice President test driving the car. It's good to see that the Vice President of Nigeria, can also still drive a car.
Oh, why not?
Despite the fact that he's occupying a very senior position.
It's like riding him. Oh, well.
No, but in Nigeria, when you're a big man, you don't drive.
It's fun to drive most of the time.
So it's good to see that.
Yes.
But this is not the first time they're talking about it. Last year, the governor of Lagos State launched this same electric car. In February 2021, Mr. Aliyu, who is in charge of the automotive design and manufacturing body, also announced that they will unveil it. So yesterday was like the third major moment. But this is partnership between Stallion Motors and Hyundai, the Korean car manufacturing company. What it means is that, these people, these car manufacturers, electric car manufacturers, see potential in Nigeria as a market for electric cars. But there are issues that we need to worry about. Costs. Electric cars are not that affordable. 2, what type are we unveiling? Is it the full electrification, or the battery-powered, or the solar-powered, or the hybrid, which is popular in parts of Europe? 3rd, do we have these, electric charging stations, power stations, right? There was a pilot project in Sokoto sometime last year. So how soon are we going to have these cars mass-produced, and where will those power stations be? 3, or 4th, the other challenge for Nigeria is a country where there is electricity problem. Where are we going to get regular electricity?
Maybe the solar power one will be the right one to go.
Electric cars. But what is clear is that we've taken the first step to join the rest of the world in thinking ahead. Do I think that this will wipe out the impact of fossil fuels? Maybe not in 50 years, because the concern is that maybe petrol and diesel would go off the market. I don't think that will happen, because the aviation industry will still use, aviation fuel, which will be derived from, fossil fuels. People will still, they will still use methane. They will still use urea and fertilizer. All of those derivatives. We will still produce plastics. So those who have the fear that green energy will eliminate, what brings us big revenue in Nigeria, may not panic.
All right, well said. We'll take our final story in India. Ziona Chana, the head of what may be the world's largest family, has died at age 76. Ziona, who preferred to be addressed only by his first name, died in India on Sunday. The patriarch belonged to a Christian tribal sect that promotes polygamy as God's will. According to reports, Ziona had 38 wives and 89 children. Polygamy, which is illegal in India under the country's penal code, is practiced by Muslims who are exempt under the code. Ziona's father, Chana, founded the Christian sect in Mizoram's Batwak village, where his vast family lives across a single property. Tundu, the story was mind-blowing. I mean, he is in the Guinness Book of World Records. But my issue is, I don't even believe that he's the guy that, he's the head of the largest family in the world. They should come to Africa, Nigeria, and see how many wives men marry here. But this is such a mind-blowing story. Well, may his soul rest in perfect peace.
Amen. It's not mind-blowing to me. It's perfectly normal. Ziona, rest in peace, but you are a learner. You are a learner.
Dr. Bati, is that correct?
Well, I don't think we still have much time. Ziongaka, that's his real name.
Yeah.
Ziona. he's considered the world record holder. But
Yes.
as they talk about him, he was even celebrated on television.
Yes.
I recall one man called Mohammed, I think Bello Adamu, in Bida, Niger State. He died at the age of 93 in 2018. That's a Nigerian. He had, about 130 wives.
They should do more research.
He had 130 wives. He had, over 203 children.
Yeah.
That's a Nigerian.
Correct.
In fact, he was so prolific that the Sharia police in Niger State had to arrest him at a point to say that he was giving a bad name to Islam. And then also remember the record of King Solomon, who had 700 wives and 300 concubines.
All right.
But in any case, Ziona is considered the world record holder.
He is.
He's dead now.
Yeah.
Over 100 children, 38 wives, 23 grandchildren, 1 grandchild, and it was a self-reliant family.
Yes.
He built a 4-story building in which he kept everybody. And most of the wives were below the age of 40. He was a prolific man, a busy man, a man who got more than the ordinary dose of bedmatics, romance, and attention from the female Homo sapien.
Well, that's all I have for you guys, Dr. Abati.
Okay, I should stop.
That's it. That's
Okay,
it. You're
thank you
done.
very much.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
See you tomorrow.
Thank you.
Thanks for fighting.